Good afternoon. For the first time since 2019, we're able to host our Ottenheimer Youth this summer. In conjunction with the La Petite Roche Tricentennial Celebration, we're delighted to have two amazing young women from France join us this year. Anaïs Basson and Manon Brulfer arrived in Little Rock Sunday evening. Last night, T. Martin Davis and Bev hosted a reception at their beautiful historic Powell House. We had a great attendance, and thank you to everyone who came out and met our new friends. Manon is studying engineering, and Laura Nick has invited her to a young professionals event at Garver today, so you'll have to wait until next week to meet her. Anaïs is here, and I could read you her bio, but I think I'll let you tell us a little bit about her in her own words. And please pronounce your name properly.
Okay. So my name is Anaïs Basson. It's the hardest name you can find for you. So I'm 22 years old. I live in Paris, France. I study cultural industry, if that rings the bells to you, like music industry, cinema, and everything. What should I say? I don't know. Thank you for choosing Manon and me. We are very grateful, and we don't know the United States, so we're very lucky. And yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I predict that you're going to have a great visit. And the Ottenheimer Committee has done a wonderful job of lining up hosts with lots of mini activities. Is Mitch Bettis in the house?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mitch. Good to see you. I'm blind, brother.
That's what happens to old presidents, you know, they go downhill fast. We've seen Kenny Gibbs drop off. He's in a tough spot, so don't worry. My name is Mitch Bettis. I own Arkansas Business, but I'm here to update you on the progress of the literacy group that has been driving an initiative forward for about the last 16 months. So my goal here is to give you a brief update of what has happened the last 16 months, what exciting thing happened this summer as a result of that work, and the incredible steps that are about to happen in this school year, and end it with an ask. We need your help. This is the place where you're about to plug in. So the quick history is that on the issue of literacy, this club has had a long partnership with the Little Rock School District, helping elevate literacy within our school district. There's been the One District, One Book program. There have been dictionary giveaways, the partnership with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. We have a long-time partnership with Dunbar Middle, again, just as a broad partnership with Little Rock School District. Why? Why does that matter? Well, we know this, by reading at grade level, by third grade is a significant determining factor on whether a young person will graduate high school. All right, why does that matter? More times than not, bad things happen when a young person does not finish high school. And if here are some of the kind of the key metrics around that. Number one, if a young person doesn't finish high school, they are far more likely to turn to violence. 70% of people entering prison do not have a high school degree. Income inequality is exacerbated. You're far more likely to live below the poverty line if you don't finish high school, and you're not ready for the workforce if you don't finish high school. So bad things happen. So what we know is that a key determining factor on who is not going to finish high school happens with can you read at grade level by third grade. So in the spring of last year, about 16 months ago, this club and a collection of business leaders went to the school district and said, how can we help? We've had a long time partnership. What do we need to do to amplify our help to impact those things? Lower violence, improve income inequality, and prepare people for the workforce. Ultimately, by how do we get every kid to graduate high school? That is our goal, right? Because we know good things can happen when that happens. And so the problem is pretty pronounced. About 60% of students in Arkansas are reading below their reading level for third grade. Think about that tragic number, 60%. It's often worse in the Little Rock School District. You can look at the stats, we'll happily hand them to you. It can range from 78% reading at grade level, so good, at the richest two schools in the district, okay, Don Roberts and a couple of others, and it goes down to 0. It's tragic. And so we have to, if we care about violence, if we care about income inequality, if we care about workforce, we have to pour into this as a community. And so, as I mentioned, about 16 months ago, a group of Rotarians and business leaders got together, said, how can we help? These conversations included past President Bolthouse, current President Peacock, future Presidents Gadati, future President Chaco. It included past President Hank Kelly, and a number of others who said, let's rally our resources and help. How can we do that? And so what has happened is in the fall of last year, this club facilitated a meeting of about 40 community leaders to talk about this issue. They're immersed in this issue. Many of them are Rotarians. COWS was represented. AR Kids Read has been knee deep in this project. Arkansas Food Bank is knee deep in this project. The city of Little Rock, Jay Barth, when he was with the city, knee deep in this project. Excel by 8, knee deep in this project. The State Board of Education and many others who have been part of this journey gathered at a place to really talk about what can we do. Of course, Mike Poore is knee deep in this project when he was superintendent, Rotary member, and now Dr. Wright, also knee deep in this project. From the group of 40, then came a group of 15 that went to say, here's all the big things we talked about. Now, what do we do to move it into an action plan? And the group of 15 met for 2 days at the Winthrop Rockefeller Center in February. From that came this. The school district agreed to launch at all of these, as a result of all this, agreed to launch a literacy-based program in the school district's summer school program that just happened. They went out and researched and found a new curriculum and launched that curriculum in the 5-week summer school program that just finished, which was amazing. About 1,000 kids went through the program. And although the results are still being tabulated into all the effectiveness of that, here's what we learned. And this is the go forward. The school district has agreed, Dr. Wright and all the team has agreed now, because of that success, let's now move this into the academic year. And in Stevens and Washington Elementary, 2 of our key targeted schools that we wanted to be in, they're going to push this program forward into their after-school program at Stevens and Washington. It's incredible. It's a fantastic thing, and it's the most amazing thing we could have wanted. All the team that's been working on this, from all the leaders you just mentioned to Karen Fetzer, who has spent many, many hours of this, it's an incredibly exciting thing. So there's 2 of the 9-week programs. There's an 18-week program that's happening for an after-school program at Stevens in Washington. Now, here's where we need your help. We need you to volunteer. I'm confident you can read at a 3rd grade level. First of all, I feel good about it. This isn't going to tax you at all. And what we need is you and your company to be a part of this journey and essentially adopt a day, adopt a week, where you and a collection of folks can go over and read for 30 minutes. That's it. It's going to be really simple. And we're going to do that for 18 weeks. There's a real curriculum, and then volunteers are coming in. And the benefit of that, in addition to the reading impact, is that we're going to put positive, accomplished adult mentors in the lives of these young people, right? So this isn't just about reading. They're about seeing positive people who are willing to pour into their lives and make an impact. So we need you to be the mentors along this journey. You're going to hear more about this. You're going to get opportunities in your inbox for you and your company to saddle up for a day or a week. So be on the lookout. But we're really appreciative of the school district. I'm really appreciative of everyone who's been a part of this journey, and we're looking forward to the results coming in the school year around the corner. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Mitch, thank you for continuing your enthusiasm for this effort. And you can imagine when Mitch made that presentation to that group he talked about, we all dropped our mouths and said, yes, this is what we need to do. You're selling us on it. The focus is so important. So thank you for that enthusiasm. Now, without further ado, I want to ask Molly McNulty to come up and introduce some of our new members. We're excited to continue to add to our membership.
Thank you. Thanks. Hello. First, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege today to thank everybody on the Membership Recruitment Committee who is not meeting today. I believe that's Kelly Bass's Membership Engagement Committee, but nonetheless is working hard round the clock recruiting new members. But the hard work is certainly not limited to the amazing committee members, but to all of you in Club 99 who have recruited, sponsored, and encouraged new members to join our club. In that vein, we have 3 incredible new members to introduce today. I will call each to the podium with their sponsor one at a time. First off, we have Quentin Kane, sponsored by Dan Parker. Quentin is the principal of Dunbar Middle School, and he's a 2001 graduate of Conway High School. Go Wampus Cats. He studied mathematics at Tennessee State University before obtaining his master's in education at the University of Central Arkansas. He is the former principal at North Little Rock Middle School and became the principal at Dunbar in July of this year. Our club is thrilled to continue to partner with Dunbar Middle School, and to piggyback along what Mitch said, there are a few volunteer opportunities, including next Tuesday after Rotary, we're going to be stuffing welcome goodie bags for Dunbar students. So please stay afterwards next week and help with that. And on Wednesday, August 17th from 2:30 to 5:30, we are going to have a back to school bash at Dunbar. I think Dan is, 6:30. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Get there an hour early. Okay, I stand corrected. So 5:30 to 6:30, but if you want to come at 4:30 and help cook burgers and hang out, that would be great. So let's show Principal Kane the Rotary motto in action and welcome him to Club 99. We're also going to excuse him early because he's got to get to another meeting. So don't be alarmed, but go ahead. Welcome, Principal Kane. Thank you. Next up, we have Julie Brandenberger, sponsored by Natalie Gadotti. Some of you may not have had the opportunity to meet Julie yet, but I guarantee at least 95% of this audience has eaten some of her company's sweet treats. Myself, more than my fair share. In 2019, Julie and her husband, John, purchased Community Bakery from fellow Club 99er, Joe Fox. Julie is a Little Rock native, a 1994 graduate of Little Rock Central High School, and moved to Missouri for college and graduate school. She began her professional career working for a public accounting firm in the tax department and subsequently worked in BKD's wealth management group. In 2009, she left the firm to start her own business, working with small business owners, focusing on cash flow planning, budgeting, and forecasting. In 2014, she started MAP Properties Little Rock LLC, which buys and renovates historic homes in downtown Little Rock. As a certified public accountant licensed in both Missouri and Arkansas, Julie divides her professional time between her respective businesses, continuing to serve a select group of small business owners while also fulfilling her role as CFO of the bakery. We're delighted you've joined Club 99, Julie. Welcome. And our last new member introduction of the day is Michael Manley, sponsored by Denver Peacock. Standing in for President Peacock is past President Hank Kelly. Okay, and past President Kelly says Ashton Beebacher also gets an assist on that, so thank you. Michael is the Chancellor's Chief of Staff at the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. He's been at UAMS since 2003 and has served in a variety of roles, including the UAMS Northwest Director of Clinical Integration and Development, a position in which he developed partnership for graduate education, clinical and research development. He was also the Director of Outreach and Government Relations in the UAMS Center for Distance Health and worked as a patient liaison trainer for diabetes care. Before working at UAMS, he was the executive director of the Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency and also the executive director of the Arkansas Regional Organ Recovery Agency, Aurora. He received his master's degree in nursing administration from the UAMS Graduate School in 2009 and his bachelor's degree of nursing from the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences College of Nursing in 1990. Michael's been a resident of Little Rock since 1998, where he's been an active member of the community, and we're thrilled he's now an official member of the Rotary Club of Little Rock. Welcome and congratulations, Michael. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Molly. It's just the gift that keeps on giving, and welcome to each of you to your membership in Club 99. We hope you feel the energy that's coming from our membership. We're so excited about our new year with Denver Peacock, and he's injected in all of us a lot of energy. So T. Martin, thank you again for hosting us last night. Stephanie and I attended, loved it. It was just a very vibrant setting, and we just really look forward to the next 3 weeks with our Ottenheimer students. So thank you for that. Save the date, Club 99 dinner parties on September the 27th. We will not have a meeting that day, so please mark that on your calendars. We've talked about the Dunbar back to school stuffing and cooking, and so I think it's really important, you all, that we rally back and come in and support Quentin as our newest member. Really excited that he's part of our membership now. Next week, we'll hear from an attorney, player agent, J.R. Carroll, University of Arkansas Senior Associate Athletic Director for the Athlete Brand Development, Terry Prentice, and KTV sports anchor, Steve Sullivan, on the business of college athletics. And what a program that'll be, the changes that we face there. Athlete endorsement deals, billion-dollar television contracts, conference realignment, all wrapped into a 25-minute presentation, so do not miss that. We'll get an insider's view. While I'm here, Denver asked me to speak in one of the versions of Illuminating the Rock. And he asked me to remind you of some of the signs of civic success that we talked about during my year that James Fallows and his wife, Deborah, talked to us about through the book, Our Towns. I'd like to highlight 4 of those and how they connect to our signature project, Dunbar. The first, public-private partnerships are real. People know their civic story and history. We have distinctive, innovative K through 12 schools, and probably most importantly, we consider ourselves open and we embrace diversity. Embedded in these 4 signs of civic success are people like all of us working for what's called the common good, and not just our private interests. The common good is on display later today in our program, but it was also at the heart of our selection of Dunbar Middle School as our signature project. This didn't happen by accident. We had a committee. The committee received many nominations for ideas about the signature project, but one stood out. Superintendent Mike Poore asked us to consider adopting Dunbar, not because they were underwater, but because it fit all the things we were talking about having a place we could do hands-on work, where we could use our minds and mentor and better understand the needs of this school and the community that it serves. Now, why is Dunbar called Dunbar? We launched into this project and we really didn't understand the history of it, but we got to know that history. Dunbar was named for Paul Lauren Dunbar of Dayton, Ohio. Turns out he was born in 1872 and lived to 1906, but he died a young man while he was in high school. He went to high school with a couple of people you may have heard of, the Wright brothers. So his mother worked for the Wright brothers as a housekeeper. And because of that relationship through high school, the Wright brothers helped Paul Dunbar in a lot of ways in the community, and he became one of the best known African-American poets of his time. and continues to be thought of as one of the more literary giants of that community. Dunbar was the author of 12 books of poetry, 4 short stories, a play, and 5 novels. He was invited to recite at the World's Fair, and his work regularly appeared in Harper's Weekly, the Sunday Evening Post, the Denver Post, and others. The original theme of Dunbar might not surprise you. At that day and age, we needed industrial trades. And so the original foundation of Dunbar was, let's build those industrial trades. School was a junior high and a high school and had a wing of the building that had the Dunbar Junior College. But the African-American community said, that's not really what we want. We want a school that will prepare our students for college and beyond for the rest of their lives so they can excel at the highest levels. And so our community came together and chose Paul Dunbar as a symbol of that literary giant that Paul Dunbar was. Now, you'll be interested to know that Ashwin V. Bacher's wife's grandfather, let me say that again, Ashwin V. Bacher's wife's grandfather, Lawson Deloney, was one of the architects that designed Central High, but he also designed Dunbar. And Dunbar is a miniature version of Central High. So he had the plans, he just had to scale it back. So when you go through Central and you go through Dunbar, you'll see a lot of similarities. Building cost, $400,000. Imagine trying to build a high school today for $400,000. Well, the Rosenwald Fund contributed $67,000 of that. And the Rosenwald Fund was founded by the CEO of Sears and Roebuck in Chicago. And they made donations throughout the country. Rosenwald schools were known throughout the country because of the CEO of Sears. Well, the state gave a whopping $30,000 for their share of the construction of Dunbar, and the balance was funded through private donations and local funding. As I mentioned, Lawson Deloney was the architect, and it took a lot of civic pride. In 1931, Dunbar received a rare national accreditation from the North Central Association of Schools and Colleges for its excellence in education, one of the highest rankings of any school in the state. Today, the building is on the National Historic Register and represents a foundation of our civic history. 3 of our Little Rock 9 were graduates of Dunbar. As we got connected to Dunbar, we mentored and connected to the students. We painted their lockers purple. It's a lot of fun doing that, and it still stands today. It's a beautiful part of their school colors. We did one-on-one mentoring, and we established an Interact Club. If you remember, Vera Canoe stood before this group and gave an eloquent speech about her experiences with that. So I so appreciate the continued effort that Dan and his committee have exerted to connect us back to Dunbar, to encourage their students and do what we can to promote their faculty and students. If you have a desire to be involved with this program, see Dan. He's got plenty of things for you to do, including the 2 most recent announcements that we had earlier today. And ladies and gentlemen, that's our Illuminating the Rock story for this week. Thank you. And now I'd like to call on Shannon Hurd to introduce our speaker moderator. Shannon?
Good afternoon. How are y'all? Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. My name is Shannon Hurd, and I serve as the Associate Director of Executive Education at the Walton College of Business at the University of Arkansas. And I am also a native of Little Rock. I have a tremendous amount of love and gratitude for my hometown. But given that our city and the country have a lot of work to do to combat the homelessness crisis. So my office is located in downtown Little Rock, just a couple blocks away. And I live on the other side of town. And in both areas and traveling in between, I cannot help but notice the number of unhoused individuals in homeless camps around town. Some people may see homeless camps as an eyesore or an inconvenience. Others see them as a space to survive. I think one of our most significant issues when it comes to homelessness is stigma and judgment. I've heard they're just unlucky. They're not doing what's necessary to help themselves. They're just lazy. These biases are so far from the truth. So I've been in training and development for over a decade, and this is what I currently do at the Walton College. And I'm very passionate about this line of work because I love helping people get to the next level in their professional and personal lives. I take this passion as a new board member of Our House, which is one of the organizations being represented today. If you haven't heard of Our House, it is an organization that empowers homeless and near homeless individuals and families to succeed in the workforce, in school, and in life. I want to thank Ben Goodwin, Executive Director of Our House, for being here today. And I also want to thank the individuals on the panel today who are working tirelessly to combat homelessness in Little Rock and in our state. And so I also have the honor of introducing Bill Maccabee, who is the area commander for Salvation Army of Central Arkansas. Maccabee and the Salvation Army have revamped the organization's social service programming to be client-centered and provide wrap-around case management. Under his leadership, the organization has forged new partnerships with other service providers in the region, and the Salvation Army recently began a mission planning study that will help identify the biggest needs within the community and opportunities for the Salvation Army to step in and fill in any service gaps. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. It is an honor to be here, to be able to help facilitate this conversation around homelessness. And let me tell you, the panel that is here, you may not know this is an all-star panel that you have here before you on the issue of homelessness, and the expertise, the education, the resources to be able to speak into this issue that you have here in front of you today. You'll find no other better panel anywhere in Little Rock and really in Arkansas as a whole. So it is an honor to be here to help start this conversation. And I hope it's that. I hope it's a start of a conversation that you continue to have, that we continue to wrestle with as a community, as we continue to try to make sure that homelessness is eradicated in our community. So it is an honor to be able to introduce our panelists to you. Michelle Barnes, who is the Director of Housing at Our House. She served there as the Director of Housing since 2012. And Our House empowers homeless and near homeless families and individuals to succeed in the workforce, in school, and in life through hard work, wise decision-making, and active participation in the community. Barnes is a board chair of the Central Arkansas Teen Care for Homelessness, better known as CATCH, and has also served on the board at both Lucy's Place and Pulaski County CASA. So if you could just welcome Michelle. Next to Michelle, we have Erin, and I'll refer to her as 2 R's, and you'll find out here in just a second. So Erin with 2 R's, Erin Stanger, she is the director of the Arkansas Regional Innovation Hub. She has more than 20 years of experience in fundraising and public relations, urban planning, community development, event coordination, educational program, and membership development. She's devoted many years to serving and researching homeless needs and evaluating best practices for serving those experiencing homelessness. She is currently serving on multiple boards, including the North Little Rock Chamber, Argenta Downtown Council, Shorter College, and the Refuge. Will you welcome Erin with 2 R's? And then next to Erin with 2 R's is Erin with 2 A's, Erin Redden. Erin is a native Arkansan. He has spent the last 17 years combating homelessness in Pulaski County. Erin launched the van in 2013 with a mission of locating and loving the city's unsheltered and homeless neighbors by delivering food, water, clothing and hygiene products to homeless camps, city alleyways, bridges, and woods. Additionally, Aaron has launched the Russ Bus in Russellville and the Mission Machine in Searcy. I want you to name some of our programs moving forward as well. So will you welcome Aaron with 2 A's? And as we jump into this, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Don't close your eyes because somebody will take your cupcake. Those look absolutely delicious. But I want you in your mind's eye, when you think about homelessness, what does that look like? What does that look like in your mind's eye when we talk about homelessness? And I had a professor once who told me this all the time, and it drove me crazy. I'm going to tell you as well. Take that picture that you have in your mind's eye of homelessness. You're not wrong, but you're not right. You're not wrong, but you're not right. You probably did identify some aspect of what it looks like in the face of homelessness, but the face of homelessness doesn't look like one person. It is a wide variety. There is a huge gap in what the people who are experiencing homelessness look like and the trauma that they've experienced. It is a wide variety of people. So to get us started, if you could each, and we'll just move from Michelle down, if you can just explain to us what homelessness looks like for the people that you're serving and the unique challenges that they face.
That's a loaded question. I'm going to be as brief as possible. Thank you for the invitation to be on this panel and speak about this this topic. And so for our house, and that's a great intro, like it's going to look different, like what I say and what Aaron with 2 R's and double A will say. But for us at our house, we look at people who are working homeless or they're right at the cusp of homelessness, and we're trying to prevent that. So for us, I mean, the stories can be that, you know, a house burned down and you had to seek shelter. It could be your abuser finally turned on your children and you had to get out of there. It could be I lost my job and I didn't have enough savings to maintain the rent or maintain the bills, or maybe I was still in the house, but now the lights and the water is off. And so now the place is not meant for habitation. And so there's a lot of things that can contribute to someone needing to seek services just to be in a space that is safe, and a space that meet all of your basic needs. And so for us, and like you said, the stories, you know, stretch far and wide. But for the most part, that's what we see in our program, in our shelter.
Great answer. Hard to follow that. I'd also say thank you for having us here today. Really, really happy to be here, especially highlighting this important topic. So the Arkansas Regional Innovation Hub is located just across the river in downtown North Little Rock. And so the individuals that I get a chance to see outside of our building look like many of the faces in this room. And they're also all ages. So I tend to run into individuals that are against my building early in the mornings, late in the evenings, that are looking for shelter. And as I've gotten to know them over time, they have come into an unfortunate situation, as Michelle just listed, but also chronically homeless seems to be what I'm running into the most around the downtown area and around the Innovation Hub. I think the second half of your question was, what are the unique challenges that we face, that I face? And so something that I run into, you know, as a business owner is I can maybe find immediate help. It kind of depends on the time of the day that's available. Shelters fill up pretty quickly. So that's an issue, but also finding the long-term help that's needed for this individual. Like I said, I can maybe get them help right then, down the road, here and there, but finding, getting them into a program and that they'll be willing and feel accepted and able to be there with transportation can be an issue as a business owner, as I face that outside.
I just want to say, again, like, as you started out as well, thank you so much for having me, to the Rotary Club and to everyone that, you know, Chris, everyone that put this together, inviting us. Thanks for having us. This is so important, and it's not talked about enough. It's probably talked about, but it's not talked about in a situation such as this enough. So thank you so much, and thank you for your attention and listening to us. So for the van, what homelessness looks like to us is we do mobile outreach. So we have teams that are out across Pulaski County, and a lot of our teams are out at night. That's when we find the folks that didn't get into an emergency shelter, that didn't get in to wherever. They're sleeping outside. They're sleeping rough in alleyways, or they're in homeless camps. We're getting out to find those folks. And so we're seeing folks that, you know, they're either, it's acute homelessness or it's chronic homelessness. We're seeing folks who were evicted that day. We're seeing folks who maybe came to a hospital from Mountain Home. They came to the hospital down here for some reason and they were discharged, and now they're stuck on the streets down here. Maybe it's, you know, maybe they're mentally ill, maybe they're not, maybe they're physically, maybe they've got a physical something that they're up against, maybe they don't, whatever they're up against, they've been discharged and they're stuck on our streets now here in Little Rock. And so we find ourselves trying to figure out, okay, where can you go right now? How can we help you get somewhere right now? If it's chronic homelessness, then we're trying to meet those immediate needs right now. What are you up against right now tonight? And how can we help you tomorrow? And so those are the unique challenges that we're up against, but that's what homelessness looks like for us in the day-to-day. And so we see, you know, a little bit of everything. We see abuse, we see immediate eviction, we see chronic long-term unsheltered homelessness, and we see it all.
Thank you. And at the Salvation Army, we serve single women and families, and we're a low barrier shelter, which means we don't have very many, there's not a lot of requirements for them to get a bed in our shelter. And it goes from anything from people who are chronically homeless who are just wanting to get a shower and a couple of nights in a warm or a cool bed, all the way up to people who have been couch surfing with families and with family members or friends, and they just no longer can stay in their house or their apartment for whatever reason. So we see a wide variety as well. For Aaron with 2 A's and Michelle, do you believe that the population of the homeless population, do you see it growing, that it's getting bigger, or is it just more visible?
Excuse me. I can only speak to unsheltered homelessness. So the count takes place every couple of years for both sheltered and unsheltered homelessness. I think it takes place for sheltered homelessness annually. It takes place for unsheltered homelessness biannually. And so every 2 years, we count in 24 hours time and try and lay eyes on everyone that we can in 24 hours to try and minimize any duplication. So we go out, lay eyes on everyone that we can, and for Catch, for Central Arkansas Team Care for the Homeless, that happens across 4 counties. So it's like, what is it? Pulaski, Prairie, Saline, and Lone Oak, right? Okay, so on the last count, we don't have the latest numbers that happened in January or February. Those haven't been released yet. So the numbers from 2 years ago were just over 550. It was like 573 that were unsheltered, sleeping outside, either in an alley, in a car, in a tent. That's across those 4 counties. That's predominantly in Pulaski County, though. And so what was the question again?
Do you believe that the population is growing? Or is it just more visible?
I think it's absolutely growing. I'm waiting to see those numbers from this last count come out, but I think it's absolutely been more visible too, though. Through COVID, you saw things shut down. You saw less people working in offices, so you saw less traffic. So when people were getting out, things were less congested, so people became more visible. I started people asking me, man, are you seeing more people, or are people more visible? And I'm going, I'm not talking to people that are getting evicted, you know, like crazy, like people are thinking, you know, but I am talking to a lot of people that are seeing people more in it. And it's because traffic's down and, you know, people aren't out. The hustle and bustle is down. So I do think the numbers are increasing, but I also think that people slowed down the last couple of years, and I think people became a little bit more noticeable. So I think it's a little bit of both, but I think the numbers are going up. I think we'll get into options as the talk goes on. So I'll save kind of that, but yeah.
I absolutely agree. I think that it's growing. I think that COVID and the pandemic definitely had something to do with it. We hear more phone calls about two-parent households. So two parents with children needing housing, and that's been very different than what I've seen in the past. Also, I haven't even had time to really digest it. Right before I got here, I got an email of what our fiscal year numbers look like. And we spiked as far as the number of people that we served in our housing programs between July of 2021 and June of 2022. So we just closed that fiscal year out. And I haven't seen a spike in that since probably 2014. So it's definitely, if we're having more people walk in and out the door, then we definitely need to pay attention to that, right? And so I do believe that the population is growing. And as Aaron said, I know we'll get into maybe what some of those causes are later on.
Yeah. Thank you for that. We're going to jump around just a little bit. So Aaron, with 2 Rs, what solutions are you seeing in other cities around the state and the region, just around our country? And are some of those tools, those philosophies, whatever, are they replicable? That's definitely not a word. Can we replicate those here in
We're gonna
Little
make that
Rock?
work. Can we replicate?
There we go.
Yeah. All right, thanks for asking. So I've had the opportunity the last few years now to learn what other cities are doing and what's kind of making an impact and what's making a difference. And that was because I wanted to learn, of course, what Arkansas was doing, especially Central Arkansas, because I had to find immediate help for those that are against the building at work every day. But that led me to doing this research and reaching out across the nation to kind of dive in and see what else is out there. So as Ben Goodwin would say, I wish there was a college course we could probably have on this. There's a lot out there, a lot of good that's being done, but I'm going to highlight a few that I really love. So one is located, it's in Birmingham, and it's called Build Up Birmingham. It's Mark Martin, and this starts at a really young age. It starts in the education system, and it's a high school course. It's targeted for individuals of low income. And so what it does is it takes those individuals into these low income areas. And the high school course is the opportunity to take a home that is ready to pretty much be demolished and make it new. And through the course, the kids are creating this house. They're rebuilding this home. At the end of the 4 years, the neat thing is that they have the opportunity to own the home. Well, that's pretty neat. So going into these low-income neighborhoods that really need a lot of help and really flipping the tables. So Build Up Birmingham. Mark Martin is really fantastic. Also out in Washington State. So Matt Kovaleski and his team have something called the Hope Factory, and the Hope Factory is an incredible building that it's run by volunteers, and it's partnered with something called the Lehigh, and that stands for the Low Income Housing Institute. In Washington State, and they paired up together, and they have the Hope Factory, which is this huge warehouse, and it's filled with all the jigs and all the equipment you would need to create a tiny home and build a homeless village. And it's completely run by volunteers. Lehigh comes in, they've bought a lot of different property around the city to come in and create these villages and these safe areas for our unsheltered friends to be in. So that's a really neat program as well. Aaron might talk about Colorado, but I'll briefly say that Colorado is doing a lot of really good things. Their homeless coalition is amazing, but they also have the Colorado Village Collaborative, which creates a lot of safe outdoor spaces in many different ways, tiny homes, thermal tents, all kinds of good stuff. But they've made an effort kind of as a city and as a state to take time and study where it would make sense to create safe housing and safe places. And they've really committed as teams in the state to do that. My personal favorite, I promised I'm almost done, is in Austin, Texas. So Alan Graham has created Community First Village, which is a village that is created for the chronically homeless. And it becomes their forever home. And it provides an opportunity for workforce development within there. But it is created around just a beautiful neighborhood that's built around love and faith, and creates a safe spot for those individuals to land forever. But I also want to say that right here in Arkansas, it's important to note that there is a lot of good being done. So of course, we have been in the room. We've got, of course, AA over here to my left, talking about the Rust Bus in Russellville with Fred Teague. Malvern has Finding Hope with Claire Graham and Melissa Sparks. We have New Beginnings in Fayetteville. So there is an incredible amount of work being done, of course, Searcy and Conway. I could go on and on with what's happening, but I'm excited to just share a little bit about what else is happening around the country, but I'll pause because there's a whole lot more.
Michelle and Aaron, what are you seeing that could be used and repurposed here in Little Rock?
Well, what we want to do, we've got two approaches that we want to take, and I'll just go real fast because you mentioned Colorado. Safe outdoor spaces. We both, like there's two of us in here. We all know that overnight, we're not going to see, we know that there's a disparity in shelter beds in our community. And we know that there's not going to be a new shelter built overnight in Little Rock or in North Little Rock. It's not going to happen. The political will is not there. The funding is not there. It's not happening. And I'm just being real with you. It's not happening. So we need somewhere for people to go. People have got to exist somewhere. We're not going to rehouse everyone overnight, but they've got to exist somewhere. We're spending a tremendous amount of money through tax dollars, through code enforcement, through courts, through everything else, booting people from this patch of woods to that patch of woods. And every patch of woods in this community, someone does, has, or will pitch a tent in it. It's just the fact of life. We're talking 500-600 people that are unsheltered throughout the region. So as Aaron mentioned, in Colorado, they've got safe outdoor spaces. It's not a popular topic, but they have found plots of land where they've been able to pitch thermal tents. People are already living in tents. We can make it where they can have sanitation, they can have hygiene, they can have transportation, they can have wraparound services, they can have case management all in one place. It's not perfect. It provides a little bit of dignity, but it also provides somewhere immediately that they can go, they can live safe, and we can stop having people die due to exposure on our streets. That's something that we at the band want to work on. We're working on kind of a little privately under the table, a pilot project similar to that. But I know that's my board president telling me to shut up over there. The next thing that we really want to do, and this is where we really want to get business leaders behind this effort, is to put social workers on our streets. Everyone wants to know, what can we do? We've got this person camping out behind our business. What can we do? Well, we can respond by coming down there and asking them, do they need some socks? Do they need some underwear? Do they need some toothpaste? Do you need feminine hygiene products? Do you need, what do you need? What is it that you need right now? But if there's not a shelter bed open, if they're not willing to go to a shelter, if they can't afford the fees that the shelter charges, if they can't, whatever the case may be, whatever the scenario, if there's not an option that clicks for that person right now, then there's not anything that we can do for them. So we're a team of volunteers. You know, we've got folks that they're just out there wanting to love on people. They want to make sure that they're okay right now. But we've got a team on our board that we want to incorporate some professional social work in there too. There are a lot of people out there that aren't going to darken the doors of our wonderful, wonderful places that are stationary. We've got people doing great work and social work, you know, through our day resource centers, through our social work that's being built up through the Salvation Army. Thank God. I mean, for all these places, they do great work, but there's a lot of people that just aren't going to darken the doors of a stationary place. And maybe they live 15 miles across the metro. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know what the reason is. There's a very variety of reasons. We want to send social workers out. We've already got social work interns through UA Little Rock. We're on the cusp of hiring our first, LMSW, so that we can then have someone to supervise interns that would go out. Have you applied for housing? Let's do that on the spot. Let's have someone that can come out to your camp and follow up with you on the spot. Have you applied for food stamps? Why are you digging through the dumpster for your food? Let's find a way for you to get food and nutritious food in a dignified manner. Let's, you know, have you Have you hooked up with workforce services? Do you need to be on disability? Can we hook you up with disability? All those things. Can we do it on site with iPads? Let's do it, So anyway, those are the approaches we want to make. That's what we're working on. If you want to get behind it, holler at me.
Michelle, let me switch gears real quick because we're down to the last 5 minutes. So if you can answer this for us, what is, and just so you guys are aware, we're going to stick around after the meeting. So if you have specific questions, ask about those safe outdoor spaces, ask about housing vouchers and what's going on with that. Is that working? Is that not? Ask about grant funding. Ask some of those questions that we weren't able to get to. But because we're coming to a close, what is the one thing, the one takeaway that you hope that everyone walks away with this conversation from?
I hope that everyone walks away from this conversation to know that this is a community effort. One thing that I talk about in the shelter amongst our clients is that we're here in a community and it takes all of us to make this thing work. And I tell them, like, as a staff, we need you to make this work as well. And so our house, the van, Salvation Army, we will never fulfill the entire need of homelessness. We will never do that on our own. And so it takes the leaders in here, and you guys have proven just by sitting and being a visitor in this meeting, like you guys know how to make things rock. And you guys know, like that wasn't a pun, but y'all can use that. You guys know how to move the needle. And so contributing in ways of even visiting our house, I would say that's a great start for us. We have open house every first Thursday of the month, and it's from 10:30 to 11:30, and just come and see what we have going on. Our solution is we're seeing, again, a spike in homelessness in families. So our solution is to build a new family house. We're in the middle of a capital campaign right now that's 16 million. If you got 3 million, we'll take it because that's what we need. But we're actually we're clearing space. We're getting ready to break ground. And so just visit, come and visit Aaron, come and visit Salvation Army, see what is going on, because there's a place for you to fit. You may not feel like that you can do anything, but I guarantee you, when you come and look at it for yourself, you will say, oh, I can do that. And we take that full community approach. I think it's very needed right now in our society to be like, we have to chip in because this all of our families. It may not be your household, but please believe me, if it was a member of your household, you would want someone to treat your daughter, your cousin, your niece with dignity and respect if they were in the situation that we see our clients in.
Absolutely. And I echo that. Yeah, please. Yeah, homelessness definitely is not a Salvation Army problem. It's not an Our House problem. It's not one agency's problem. It is a community issue that will only get solved when the community comes together and bands together to fix it. If I could have one thing that I want you to walk away with about homelessness is know this: it rarely has anything to do with laziness. I know that is one of the things that people think if they would just get up and get a job. It's hard to get a job when you don't have a picture ID. It's hard to get a job when you don't have those skills to be able to do it. They've been told no. They've been told you're not good enough. They told you'll never grow past where you are. And they've heard that so much that many of them already believe that because of their the experience that they're in right then. So it rarely has anything to do with actual laziness. It has a lot to do with people who have the voice, who have the resources of knocking down hurdles for them in order for them to gain access to the things they need to be permanently housed. So thank you very much. Again, we will be hanging around for minutes. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bill, Shannon, Michelle, Aaron. We really, really appreciate what you all do, and please don't quit. Please keep working. We'll try to help where we can. As part of a speaker series, we would like to present to you part of our connection to literacy. This particular book, She Persisted in Sports, is written by Chelsea Clinton and illustrated by Alexandra Boyer. And the program is really to connect Little Rock School District with literacy and our club's effort to do so. So we would like to present each one of you with a book that will then go into the Little Rock School District. And thank you again for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your attendance today. Remember, next week, we'll talk about sports and all that goes on behind the scenes. And ladies and gentlemen, come forward and visit, but we're adjourned.